Seattle Seahawks fans, welcome to the third episode of What to Expect. This is a film breakdown series where we look at team specific offensive and defensive units, and today I want to talk about Shane Waldron, Geno Smith, Kenneth Walker, and a very underrated offense which I think has the potential to explode in 2023. Now, before we get into the film, we have some things to go over and some things to follow as we get through this video. So basically, first we're going to start with the 2022 to 2023 stats, and this is giving us a feel of the team, understanding some of the things they like to do before we get into the film. What do the tendencies say about them on paper? And then after that, we get into the offseason moves. This is talking about the free agency acquisitions, the draft capital that we acquired for this season on the offense. After that, we're getting into the scheme, and this is all of the film stuff. We're talking about the strengths and weaknesses of said scheme. And by the end of this video, we're going to have the answer to the burning question: what to expect? Because we're going to talk about, were these weaknesses amplified? Were some of the things that were bad made worse? Or were the strengths made stronger? If a team likes to run the football, if they like to throw the football, have they gotten better in that department based on personnel or based on coaching? We will know what to expect by the end of this video. So now let's get into the stats. So right here, as you can see, we have our passing and rushing stats, but in that bottom right corner, you can see scoring and total offense. The Seattle Seahawks were tied for ninth in scoring in the National Football League with 23.9 points per game, and they were 13th in total offense with 350.4 yards per game. So this is pretty solid stuff, and you wonder, how can they take the next step out of that? Looking at the passing stats, we see the pass attempts per game ranked 15th in the league. This is 33.8 passes. The yards per game, 12th in the league, 231.2 yards per game passing. Yards per attempt, 24th in the league. This is 9.8 yards per attempt, and we're going to kind of see this as we get through the video, why the number was specifically at that mark. But talking about the rushing stats, and this is where I think they want to improve the most. 22nd in rushes per game, 25 of those things. Number 18th in yards per game, 119.2. And tied for 7th in yards per attempt at 4.8. So let's stop before we get into anything else. We can see right here, you're tied for 7th in yards per attempt at 4.8, but you're number 22 in rushes per game. And the film is going to break down all of this as we get into it, but it's interesting to note those numbers. So now it's time to talk about the offseason moves for this offense. We see the key free agency moves. That's Evan Brown, Phil Haynes, Geno Smith, and Cody Thompson. Now, out of all of these guys, Evan Brown is the only new face in the room, coming from Detroit, having guard center flexibility. Now I would like to hear the Seattle fans' take on this one, but the draft moves that were made by Pete Carroll and this team, it told me a lot about what the plans were for the offense. We can see Jackson Smith and Jigba, Zach Charbonnet, Anthony Bradford, Olusegun Oluwadimi, and Kenny McIntosh. So all of these guys, I think, could possibly be guys who have roles in this offense even in year one. But to quickly touch on those running backs, it's hard for me to be critical of those picks like some were, because I think Zach Charbonnet, Kenny McIntosh, I think these two guys are perfect complements to a Kenneth Walker. And you're looking at the fact that you lost a Rashad Penny and you lost a Travis Homer. So looking at this running back room now, you truly haven't lost a step. Zach Charbonnet coming out of college, I think that third best running back behind a Gibbs and behind a Bijan Robinson. So you got a really great back. And as we get into this film, we're going to see why that is so important. But now we got all the facts out of the way. We learned a little bit about the team. The table is set. So let's roll the tape. So I think it's easy to be kind of tricked when we talk about scheme and what Shane Waldron wants to do on the offensive side of the ball. Now, this is a coach who has worked with Sean McVay, worked with the Jared Goff, understanding that West Coast passing system and having a Cooper Kupp, previously a Robert Woods on that team when he was on the staff. We like to work inside and we like to run the ball. With the Seattle Seahawks, we still have some of those West Coast implementations into the offense, talking about motion and all of these things, but we are a heavy run team. Now, the passing stats don't reflect that, and I think that was a lot in due to the defense, because you're trying to get time of possession, but at the same time, you got to score. So I think Geno Smith was at times forced into some uncomfortable situations, and that's maybe where you saw a pick. That's maybe where you saw a bad play call, because you don't have the opportunities to run the ball like you want to. You don't have the ball as much as you would want to, because while the passing defense wasn't locked down, it was the run defense for this team. This is a team who ran 13 and 12 personnel. That's 1 running back, 2 or 3 tight ends, more than a lot of teams in the National Football League. The Saints are giving us a cover 2 man look. We know who our weapons are. For the Seattle Seahawks, we're in 12 personnel. We got Noah Fant lined up against Pete Warner, a great linebacker in his own right, but he can't cover Noah Fant. Noah Fant's going to run a dig to the inside of the football field. Safety's not biting down hard enough, and the ball is out by Geno Smith. These are the type of things that get the offense rolling, and we want to do more of this. And with these West Coast offenses, these wide zone schemes, comes a lot of obvious misdirection. That's what the Seattle Seahawks thrived off of. And right here, we got cover 1 man by the New Orleans Saints once again. Noah Fant's going to beat it again. He's that guy at tight end for this team, and he's lined up against another linebacker. And as the play rolls, we got a naked rollout by Geno Smith. This time, instead of running a dig, we run a corner. We see that safety. We look at his depth and his alignment. He's way too deep to get over the top of this route. So now, can't make a play on the ball. I'm wide open. Geno making this throw on the run and touching on his skills real quick. We saw a lot of mobility out of Geno Smith, and that's something we saw even West Virginia and New York Jets. But we saw some read option with him, a lot of play action rollouts, getting him on the move, throwing on the run. Right here, this is that same style. And guys, it's really not a coincidence. I hope we can see this by the film. Sean McVay, when he gets behind the sticks, 2nd and long, 3rd and long, he runs a lot of empty. Guess what I saw on film when we got in passing situations for the Seattle Seahawks? A lot of empty. And I think adding Jackson Smith, like I talked about, adds to the personnel, because last year it was a Marquise Goodwin. Now he's with Cleveland. It was a D. Eskridge. You still have him, but I think now we can have those 2 tight ends and we can still get 3 receivers on the field. This is a mismatch at all levels. And on this play right here, I want you to watch how Geno reads through his progressions against a cover 1 buzz look, then comes back to the backside and hits his tight end on his dig. And this is a play that I really want to touch on by the Carolina Panthers. Notice how we got a cover 3 look by them. We're going to have an out and up by Tyler Lockett and a post by DK Metcalf. Key thing that we're talking about right here is we're isolating this flat defender. And on top of that, we have DK, who has the vertical speed to draw the attention of this outside 3rd defender, and that's buying Geno just enough time to fit that ball in there to Tyler Lockett. Notice you got to be quick with this ball. You got to be accurate with this ball, because the corner is coming back to try to make a tackle and or make a play, but fits it in there. And this is just a great route concept against cover 3, some of the things that you see in this offense. But understand that all of this stemmed off of the run game with a Travis Homer, with a Kenneth Walker, Rashad Penny, and DJ Dallas. The fact that teams knew they couldn't stop the run for the Seattle Seahawks, that was enough of a deterrent to make them want to run the ball against the Seattle Seahawks. And in specific, there's 2 plays that we're going to talk about right here that really drive forward this point for me. Against the Los Angeles Chargers, we got a 0 tech and we got 2 4s. So what we're going to do is we're going to double block, get up to this 0, and Damian Lewis is going to do a great job at that left guard position of holding down his block. But there's also a lot of credit that has to go to the center and the guard, getting that movement off of the football. So now Kenneth Murray, he's trying to read his gaps, but the defensive tackle in front of him, he's in his lane. So now I don't know if I should go play side A. I don't know if I should go through the cutback alley, because I can't really see anything in front of me. Kenneth Walker has his choice of gap right here. He can go anywhere, but he chooses this play side A gap, and he makes a great run. Watch his acceleration as he gets through that gap, getting into the end zone, turning it from 0 to 100 extremely fast. This is the type of thing that we expect from Walker, being that explosive back. But right here, this is one of the plays. We know every video, it's a play that gets you excited. This is probably the play that's going to make you subscribe, jump out the chair. So right here by Los Angeles, we got a 3-0-3 front. But those are not the guys I want you to focus on. I want you to focus on Darique Young, Will Dissly, and Noah Fant. They're going to open up this wide open jump cut for Kenneth Walker. And as I just got finished talking about explosion, agility, all of those things, you know what he's going to do. So let's let the play roll, and we can see it right here. All of these guys sealing that side. And while he could hit the weak side right here in this run play, it's really nothing there. So being able to jump cut, get back to the strong side where you have the numbers advantage, where you have your blockers, this is very special by Kenneth Walker. I'm going to tell you right now, not a lot of running backs can jump cut this, go from east-west to north-south in just a matter of seconds. It's different for him, and him being that running back, pairing this with a Zach Charbonnet, all of these guys. I'm talking about how explosive this will be. Like I said, they want to run the ball. And this is a play that I think sums it all up for you. I want you to watch Kobe Parkinson and D. Eskridge. He's going to come into your screen late. But we got Kobe Parkinson going across on a jet motion. He's going to kick in and block this D-gap defender in number 8. So now this effectively seals the edge for us. And with Kenneth Walker having the athleticism added with the vision to be able to read this out, once he sees that we win this outside block on number 8, now he continues to bounce it to the outside. See how D. Eskridge comes into your screen? He's making that play on 24, so he can't pursue. And now this leaves number 26, the safety, as the only guy who can realistically save the day. He's not going to get it done. And the funny thing about it is, you see Kenneth Murray, he's coming across to pursue. You see these other guys coming across to pursue. Kenneth Walker outruns all of their angles. You know how fast you got to be to outrun an angle? He does that. And then he doesn't get caught. Breakaway speed, going for a big play to the house. This is what you have with this guy, and I mean it's special. Next season, I'm expecting a lot of this, but of course, as we talk about the strengths of the scheme and a lot of things that can be done, I want to talk about the weaknesses, and in particular, against the San Francisco 49ers. I think if you want to take that next step this year, it's going to be against this team who's in your division, who you have to beat, who you lost to in the wild card game. Let's see where it all went wrong. So what I'm going to do is show 2 drives for the Seattle Seahawks against the 49ers that resulted in 3 and outs. And I'm going to talk about, from the offense's perspective, we have to attack. You know, we look at the defense and that's nice, but we have to look at the matchups. How can we exploit those matchups and expose some of their weaknesses in the defensive scheme? Now, right here, we got 13 personnel by the Seattle Seahawks, and the 49ers have 9 players in the box. We're running the ball. I understand this is a physical mindset. This is a physical team. But talked about some of the things as to why they want to run the ball. You know, why this won't work. Daryl Green, he's going to fly through the A-gap right here. And understand we got 9 in the box. So how often can this be successful anyway? And I think bringing in Jackson Smith, we're going to see some 3 receiver sets. But it's not to pass the ball a lot. I think what we want to do is lighten the box, get mismatches on the perimeter, and then we still want to run with these running backs. A Charbonnet who can also catch the ball, a Kenneth Walker who can run against a light box. Now you're mismatched. We can still have a tight end, run 11 personnel, but what we're going to do is get the mismatches, run the football. And let's look at this second drive. You know, I watched the tendencies of the offense, and that was the biggest thing getting through these games of film. When they run jet motion, do they run the ball with the jet motion or do they run the ball away from the jet motion? Do they like to run with this 13 personnel? Do they run to the strong side or do they run to the weak side? And it wasn't that predictable, even though I picked up on some things. But right here, I think the Seattle Seahawks, they didn't have the number of the 49ers because the 49ers knew what they were doing. They knew how to stop it, and they knew what they wanted to do against it. You get these types of plays when you don't really have a lot in the play call arsenal and you can't really block the pass rush. So you got a one-on-one with the DK Metcalf, Javarius Ward, locking that up. Looking at the next play right here, we see the 2-high set. They run the ball. That gets stuffed. Now we see the third play right here. It's just not a lot of effectiveness because you get behind the sticks. Now what do we do? Because if we pass the ball, we're going against the pass rush. They're just going to make us throw the flat route, funnel it, come up and tackle. And for the Seahawks, they found it really hard to get beyond the sticks for this team, to get in second and short, to get in third and short because, like I said, it's different running an offense when you have a defense who's going to keep you off of the field because they're on the field for so long. They're getting the ball ran down their throats and things like that. So now what can we really do? We saw this in this game. We saw this in the wild card game. And I think this gets me into my takeaway as far as what to expect because I think adding some of these players that they've added, working on the offensive line, having some late draft pieces with the offensive line, I think Jackson Smith and Jigba is going to be key in this offense. We saw what the passing game coordinator and Shane Waldron did with the Rams. So now, how will he use Jackson Smith and Jigba? Will he have a breakout rookie season? Will he be used like a Cooper Kupp? This is some of the things that we have to think about. I think they added in a Jackson Smith and Jigba to spread out the field, give some 3 receiver sets, but they're still going to run the football. It's just going to look different. We're spreading out the defense to run the football more, and I think that's truly a maniac's game plan.